why motivation doesn't work the same after midlife and 50 plus and beyond. You probably ask yourself a question at some point in your life, specifically in that decade of like 40, 50, and beyond. Why can't I just stay motivated like I used to? I had that question all the time. Like a few years ago, I was constantly going like, I see all those posts with, like motivational quotes and all that, and it works only for just like, really, really short time, right? So for years, we've been taught that change comes down to discipline, to trying harder, to be consistent, and to push through. Okay, raise your hand if you've been in there, because I definitely was using that as my push through life. Until about now, I have to say. And so for a long time, it works, right? Like when you were younger, we just push through it, and definitely that works. But later on, it's not that we become lazy. We don't become lazy. It's just that there is a shift in our body. And let's talk about that. So why motivation fails? This is true for women, and you need to realize that motivation is actually chemistry dependent. Yeah, I didn't know that either. It relies on quick dopamine, projectable energy, and recovery you can bounce back from. So it's like a quick thing, right? It's not supposed to be actually prolonged, believe it or not. So when we get through menopause, when we get older, our stress levels change, our dopamine change, like all the hormones are freaking changing. And suddenly it becomes that we are energy sensitive. So whatever worked, like, exactly previously as the chemistry dependent, right now it just absolutely doesn't work. So when you're using pressure as a tool, so we talked about discipline, we talked, like routines that are like in stone, and, like you talk to yourself, I need to be disciplined. It doesn't work. Because your nervous system doesn't rise to it. It actually resists it. So when you resist things, it's not going to happen. So why motivation feels unreliable? It's not broken. It's just outdated for you because of those changes. So how to reframe this? All right. Energy. We need more of energy, less discipline. If you don't have energy, discipline feels like punishment. Yeah. And then, so the question is actually, what restores me first? So this is where we're going. What restores me first versus pushing it? Because I'm going to talk about my story here in a second. Discipline feels seriously like punishment. I'm sure you had that moment when you kind of went, okay, I need to be disciplined. And then eventually you're looking at yourself and like, why am I punishing myself for this? Specifically when you can't do it, right? And then let's talk about identity versus habits. So identity first, habits second. Always remember that. Habits stick when they match who you believe you are. Habits stick when you believe who you are now. Now, that means that when you were 35, you had absolutely different life. Everything else was different. You had different priorities. You had different habits. You were a different person than you are right now. So what, if you're going to say to yourself, I should, because that's what's applying to you at 35, and you think that that should is going to apply now when you, let's say, 45, 55, 65, 75, it is not going to apply, right? And then there's something that women absolutely need in their life is more safety versus pressure. And your nervous system, we always have to work on our nervous system, because it seems like with age also, we need a little bit more of that nervous system being calm, being settled, being in a space that we can deal with things. And throughout life, you've been dealing with a lot of things and they pile up. So it's time, definitely, when you have so many things happening and you know that there's more. That never stops. That's life, right? You need to feel safe. So your nervous system needs to feel safe in order to actually do things and be in that little bit of a pressure later on. We will talk about how to go after that, like how to actually keep your nervous system calm at some point, not today, okay? And my personal story, as you can tell, I have definitely been struggling with being sick for the last, let's say, 3 weeks. Yeah, it's been a while. And I seriously, right now, I have enough voice that I can actually show up for you. But at some point, I was looking at it like I'm a feminine version of Tony Robbins. Like, my voice was so harsh. Okay, I don't speak like Tony Robbins, but that's where my voice went. And it's still not exactly there, and it's very tiring to talk. But right now, my nervous system is calm enough that I'm like, okay, it's getting better. It's all good. I'll be fine. And it will, get better. But I took my time. See, this is where my energy plummeted like so badly that I couldn't push. I couldn't tell myself I have enough discipline to show up. And I know there are a lot of coaches which are going to say, well, I show up anyway. So I did the minimum of showing up. For my business, in my business, I did the minimum. So you still saw me online. Without my voice, I had to do just a picture and just a written version. And thankfully, we have such a beautiful social media platforms that are actually allowing you to put stuff before it's supposed to be launched. So posting, scheduling posts, it's absolutely awesome. But you know what? I was just out, and I had to take that time to get my energy back, to not go with the discipline and pushing through anymore. I had to listen to myself. And motivation? What motivation? There was seriously zero motivation at this point. My habits took over and who I am took over. So basically, who I am took over and went, well, you might be sick. Everything is not going exactly where you planned, but you can still do the minimum, just the minimum. The rest, save your energy, sit there and recuperate, because serving people with 10% of you is not going to do anything anyway. So this is where I had to talk to myself and basically go, my energy is more important in this. And sit down and go, nope, I'm not doing certain things because I cannot show up for the women which I'm supporting as 10% of me. I have to show up at least as 90% of me, right? But, that wasn't planned. I had to go with the flow, basically, and go there. So right now, yes, I'm wearing my chakra, I'm doing my inhalations, I'm taking supplements, I'm taking medication. It's like a whole row of things. But the main thing was that motivation was definitely not there, and I had to give it to my identity and my habits. But I also had to abandon those for a moment. Well, habits, not identity. My identity, I know who I am right now. But habits, I do have to say I had to take a break. So if you're struggling with that and you know that, oh, you know what, my habits are not where they're supposed to, the first thing is to know who you are right now. But the second thing is what's happening in your life right now and how can you adjust to that thing as well. So Okay, let's finish this. Right? So, if motivation hasn't been working for you, it doesn't mean that you are failing. Hello, right? It means you are evolving. Ooh, right? Big one. So, this week isn't about readjusting habits or fixing them. This is about recognizing what no longer fits. And let's do this without shame. So, when you look at yourself right now, where are you with your habits? And just look at it from the point of like, okay, so what doesn't fit anymore? You feel it, you know, because you know who you are becoming. You wrote in your journal probably who you are becoming. But at the end of it, you're still trying to push the habits that you had before. Are they working for you? Are they actually representing the woman who you are becoming? Or who you are right now? Because some of you are already at the process maybe higher than just like starting becoming. You might be at the point of like, I know who I am. But the habits are still not conclusive with that. So look at it from that point. Who you are right now and the habits you have right now, currently, are those current habits suitable for the person you are? Make a list. If you're looking at whatever you do in the morning or throughout the day or in the evening, are those habits supporting the woman that you are? Or are they absolutely not aligned with that? Because us women in that age, we need to pay more attention to energy versus discipline. We need to pay more attention to identity versus habits. And we need to pay more attention to safety versus pressure. That's what that is. So if you're still feeling stuck, if you are not broken, no, you're just working on it. You are still in a season of becoming. And I'm just going to leave you with that motivation definitely is not going to work with you if your energy, your identity, and your safety are not in place. And we also know that motivation is very fleeing. So that means that it's there exactly like this chemistry. It's there for just a little short time. All those other things, your energy, your identity, and your safety, will move you forward more than any motivation quote. Doesn't mean that they are bad by any means. They are still the ones which sometimes they stick in your mind and sometimes they cause you actually to think about yourself. What is your identity when you see a motivational quote? I do my quotes specifically for women in that age and within that exactly becoming stage. So I hope they are also motivating you to look at your life a little bit different and talk, see your energy, see your identity, see your habits following all this. And I hope you feel safe. So I'll see you next time. I will still go and recuperate from this, and hopefully next time I talk to you, I will be sounding much better and I won't be straining my voice that much. All right, see you next week, but look forward to the next post the next day, because next day is also very important. We're doing everything with small steps, so please don't feel like you have to do a lot. A lot of times I will even post that you don't have to write about it, just think about it, because I know not everybody is at the level of having a prompt, having, the ability to really write in your journal, but you will get there.